Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for the transfer tips video ahead of Game Week 16. We hope everyone's having a good start. I was going to say good start. I mean, good start to the weekend. So obviously, it is Friday now. Weekend's here. And yeah, looking forward to the football. It is a very quick turnaround. Obviously, Game Week 15 just ended yesterday. We're back into it, talking about Game Week 16 and the deadline's tomorrow morning. So we've got to do two videos today. So we're going to stream transfer tips now, and then 8 o'clock we'll be back for the team selection. So how you doing, Jordan? A lot of football to talk about, and yeah, you enjoying the mad schedule at the moment?
Yeah, I'm loving the mad schedule. Who doesn't love a bit of crazy football pretty much every day of the week? It's a very exciting time of the year, especially when Christmas is around the corner and you've got football on top of that as well, in combination as well to enjoy. But yeah, it's been going really well. Happy weekend to everyone as well, now that it's Friday.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to get into our picks and talk about the players that you guys should be looking to buy, sell, hold, and ignore. Sorry, ahead of Game Week 16. So let's kick it off with the first pick and the first buy that we recommend, and this is a pick I've gone for, and that is Anthony Gordon. Now, Anthony Gordon is going to be a popular pick, I think, this week because Mbumo has actually gone and got himself injured after the 40th minute. He had to come off injured, and especially at that price range, 6.1 million. Gordon has actually had a price rise. He was 6 million last night. He did have a price rise, 6.1 million. So he's gone up in price, and again, his ownership's now above 21%, and he's becoming a popular option. So 14 appearances so far, 6 goals and 3 assists. So the numbers are pretty good, especially for that price. He is performing well above his price range, in my opinion, so far this season. Disappointing loss for Newcastle yesterday against Everton in 3-0, which a lot of us didn't see coming. However, regardless of that result against Everton, I still believe Gordon is a great pick, guys. Honestly, I think I wouldn't let yesterday's result, cloud it too much. I still think he's a brilliant pick. I take a look at his fixtures, especially the next 4. Tottenham away is don't get me wrong, that is a tougher fixture, and we know Newcastle's away form isn't the best. After that, however, Fulham at home is a good fixture, and we know Newcastle are very strong at home. Luton away after that, and the key point is Game Week 18 is a blank game week for the likes of Mbumo anyway, and Newcastle have Luton, and we have to also consider Man City blank in Game Week 18. So you're going to need a couple of Newcastle players when they've got a nice fixture against Luton. So bringing Gordon in for that blank Game Week 18 looks great. He's got Luton, and yeah, I think it's a good pick. And then to wrap it off, Game Week 19, he's got Forest, and then after that, it's Liverpool. So I think he is like a longer term hold, and as you'll see from the team selection video later today, he's definitely coming into my team. So yeah, Gordon, brilliant buy. I think underlying numbers still pretty good. Expected goals per 90, 0.35. We know Newcastle have got a bunch of injuries at the moment, and Gordon's one of those players that he's going to play regardless because Wilson's still not fully back, and he's one of their key men now. As mad as it sounds, Gordon, and the way he's playing, he can't really be dropped because he's one of the main goal threats for Newcastle. So again, 100%. If you're looking for an Mbumo replacement, Gordon is right at the top of my list for me in terms of his open play threat as well. He does score a lot of goals. He doesn't really rely on pens, etc., like a Palmer potentially. So yeah, for me, Gordon, 100% buy. Let's move on to the next pick then. The next buy. Obviously, you've selected. You've gone with Palmer. Talk us through Palmer and why he's be a buy for Game Week 16 and even beyond.
Yeah, I think Palmer's attracted a lot of eyes after his 8-pointer in the last game. Even though Chelsea didn't win, Palmer still scored a goal against Man United, and yeah, he's been I think this is a pretty obvious pick for this week. I mean, almost 300,000 managers have transferred in Palmer. He's the most transferred in player so far in this game week, and he was going to be my transfer in potentially for this game week. And yeah, I've liked the looks of Palmer. I think in terms of Chelsea assets, we can say now, I think it's time to obviously bring him in, buy Chelsea assets. And Palmer's been the outstanding pick, I think, for Chelsea. He's the one that's looked more promising in games. He's getting the goals. He's had 5 so far this season with Chelsea, which is pretty good considering he just joined, and 2 assists to go with it. So he's as well as a goal scorer, he also creates chances. And I like the looks of Palmer, especially at the price of 5.4 million. He is expecting to rise again tomorrow, preferably before maybe the deadline stream again. So he may be 5.5 by the time Gameweek 16 comes around the corner. And his ownership is creeping into that sort of danger area where he could affect the rank for a lot of us who don't own Palmer. And I think that's going to grow consistently as the game weeks keep coming for Chelsea, because as you can see, Chelsea have a full list of green fixtures in upcoming next 5, which are Everton, Sheffield United, Wolves, Crystal Palace, and Luton. All of those fixtures are pretty much good, I think, for any Chelsea asset. And I think in terms of Chelsea, that I would only go for Palmer. I wouldn't be going to anyone else for Chelsea. I just think Palmer is just the main man. He's on penalties, which gives him that extra, obviously that bit of bonus if he does take a penalty. He's the one to obviously take it. And yeah, you can't argue with the fixtures in the next 5. I think he's definitely, I can see why he's popular this week, because now the fixtures have changed with Chelsea. It just seems to be a no-brainer, I think, for a lot of us, especially with Mbomo being out injured. It's sort of worked kind of perfectly for some managers out there who are looking to transfer out Aaron Mbomo for maybe a Palmer at cheaper price as well. So yeah, I think definitely Palmer is a buy with the fixtures lined up, and yeah, he's had a good season so far with Chelsea.
Yeah, so I do agree. I think Palmer, again, looking like a popular pick. Obviously, I've had him for a while, and I can see this one being a popular move. Let's move on to some players then that we should be looking to offload. And now these are players that we think, time's up on these assets. And the first one I've selected is actually Joachim Anderson at Palace. Now, taking a look at Anderson, 15 appearances, 2 goals, and the 1 assist. So he has had a few attacking returns, which is good if you've owned him for those. But, in my opinion, I do believe it is now time to get rid of the Palace defense. I think Palace have looked pretty poor. That's fair to say in the last few matches. They haven't won in a while, to be fair. And Palace are struggling, I think, especially with Eze now out again. Longer term, it could be. I'm not fond of keeping Palace assets, if I'm being honest. And then you take a look at the next 5 fixtures as well. You don't really see any clean sheets, if we're being honest. 22% ownership, so he's quite highly owned. He's 5.1 million. I just don't think the fixtures back it up. Liverpool next at home. Don't see a clean sheet there. Man City is going to be tough. Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford. So for me, there's not really much to discuss on the Palace defense. I think he's an easy sell. If you've got Mark Gurhey, which again is another popular Crystal Palace asset, I would be getting rid. I just don't think the fixtures are there. And I don't see any clean sheets really in the next 5. And even attacking returns, I don't see much of that as well. So I just think easy avoid. And if you've got these players, I would be looking to ship them out for other defenders, personally. So yeah, Anderson is the first sell that we recommend ahead of game week 16. Moving on then to the next player on the list as a sell. You've gone with Saliba, which is very interesting, obviously, because I own Saliba. Talk us through the thinking behind this one, because I do want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think this is for those who have obviously double Arsenal. I know I've seen a lot of teams that have brought obviously double Arsenal for the last 2 fixtures they did have, which unfortunately didn't end up as a clean sheet. And I believe those 2 fixtures were against, obviously in game week 14, Wolves conceded 1 goal, and then Luton in the game we just had, where they conceded 3 goals. So yeah, it's been a bit underwhelming, I think, if you brought in double Arsenal defence and you haven't had a clean sheet from obviously since game week 14 to 15 for the likes of Saliba or preferably Gabriel. I think this relates to either Saliba or Gabriel in terms of this sell. But yeah, this is mainly aimed at these managers that have both, because as we've seen this season so far, defenders haven't really worked out in terms of transfers. Like, we've seen not many clean sheets. We've probably seen more attacking returns and clean sheets coming from most teams. But even though Arsenal, I'll say they're still pretty good for clean sheets, I still just don't think it's worth having double Arsenal defense, and I think you can be able to offload like a Saliba or a Gabriel in your team rather than having both, and probably try your luck at bringing another obviously defender from another team where you may see like a clean sheet or preferably an attacking return. I think in terms of the way this season is going, I'm not really, in my opinion, looking for a defender like an Arsenal defender. I'm just picking cheap attacking threat type of defenders rather than going for ones that I think can keep clean sheets. And Saliba's ownership has dropped a fair bit, 35.6%. 80,000 managers have sold Saliba so far this game week. So I think a lot are frustrated with 2 blanks, no clean sheets for Arsenal in the last 2. And yeah, at the price of 5.5 million, I mean, it's not too expensive, but again, there is other defenders out there who, like Trent, for example, is way more expensive, but I feel like he's playing at the value for the money, and I don't think at the moment that obviously Arsenal defenders, for example, like Saliba or Gabriel, are playing obviously for the worth of how much he currently is. So that's why I think Saliba is a sell. I mean, the fixtures that Arsenal have as well, the next 3, I'm not too convinced of a clean sheet there. Maybe game week 19 onwards, where obviously the fixtures swing, but at this current moment in time, yeah, I'm not feeling anything for defenders at the moment. So Saliba, I think, can be a sell if you've got double Arsenal.
Okay, yeah, interesting thoughts on the Arsenal defense there and Saliba. We're going to move it along then to players that we think you should be looking to hold on to. Now, these are players that managers are removing, and we think, people are probably jumping on the gun on these players and maybe should be a bit patient. So first up, I've gone with Darwin Núñez as a hold. Now, Darwin Núñez has been transferred out by quite a few of your managers, which again I am quite surprised about. I'm just going to get the exact numbers. Darwin Núñez has had to be transferred out by nearly 100,000 managers so far this season. I think that is because of the benching Núñez got in the last match against Sheffield, which again was expected. I did say, this was like a couple of game weeks ago. I said, chances of Núñez missing one game over that chunk of festive period, especially with the games coming thick and fast. I actually said Núñez will probably miss the Sheffield game. That's obviously come, to fruition. However, I'm pretty 100% sure Darwin will start against Crystal Palace on Saturday morning. So I will not be getting rid of Darwin before he's playing Palace. And we know Palace themselves have been pretty poor, if we're being honest. Palace haven't won since game week 11, and I think they've got 4 wins all season. So I wouldn't want to sell Darwin Núñez, who's one of the main strikers, in my opinion, going into that fixture against Palace. I definitely can see Núñez getting something. I know he's been a bit frustrating, and I know he got that benching, but just because he got that benching on the midweek, I don't think that means he's not going to start. He's still firmly first choice for Liverpool, and I expect him to start and get involved. 14 appearances so far, 6 off the bench. So again, I think for the minutes he's played, 4 goals and 5 assists, still good. And we know what Núñez is about. He is a chance magnet, 0.71 xG per 90. So he does get the chances. It's always the case. Is he going to convert? But if I had Darwin, I would be leaning towards keeping him just because I think the goals will come. And again, even in game week 17, Man United at home, with the way Man United are playing, I still wouldn't fancy removing Darwin for that game. He did get 2 goals against Man United last season, I remember. And I definitely would keep Darwin for the next 2. Keep him for Palace, keep him against Man United. And after that, he doesn't return. You could maybe think about removing Darwin, in game week 18 and bringing back a Watkins if you've got rid. But if you've got Darwin, I wouldn't panic yet and remove him. He's just that one benching. He's going to play against Palace, guys. So yeah, he is a hold for me. Moving on to the next hold then. You've selected Alvarez as a hold, which is interesting. Obviously, you're an Alvarez owner yourself. Talk us through your thinking and thoughts behind this one. Why is Alvarez a hold?
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see Alvarez it wasn't that high in terms of transfer outs, but it was relatively there. 87,000 managers so far have sold Alvarez when he obviously has Luton away for his next fixture. And as an Alvarez owner, I should have offloaded Alvarez a long time ago. And I think you've kind of missed the boat on obviously taking him out your team now, because you might as well playing for that Luton away fixture and the Crystal Palace at home one, because by game week 18, you obviously will blank. There's no fixture for Man City in game week 18, but even after that, in game week 19 and 20, the fixtures are still good for Man City, and now they're now 4 wins in a row. No wins for Man.
Four without a win.
Yeah, 4 without wins. Sorry, in a row now. I do see a bounce back coming from any one of these fixtures coming up for obviously Man City now. And even though Alvarez, I don't see him playing 90 minutes, like he only played about 68 or so last game week, I still think he's a decent hold to obviously keep for the fixtures, because the way I know Luton, they're pretty good at home. We saw that with Arsenal, could have potentially won that game with Drew, but again they did concede 4 goals as well, Luton. So we can't really ignore the fact that they scored 4 past them, and Man City are more than capable of doing the same thing. And I don't see him all coming from Haaland. I do see him coming from his teammate Alvarez as well. So I'll definitely be holding him for the Luton away fixture, and obviously the Crystal Palace at home one, because Crystal Palace as well are suffering from many injuries, a bit lack of a starting 11 at the moment. So again, it's definitely ones where I think Man City will need to bounce back in if they want to keep in the title contention. So yeah, I wouldn't be getting rid of Alvarez anytime soon, at least until game week 18, if you decide to or not. And yeah, he is expected to drop price tomorrow. He will be 6.9 million come by probably the deadline after game week 16. So, and his ownership is dropping, which I'm quite surprised about, especially with the fixture. So I definitely would keep a hold on Alvarez and obviously see what you obviously decide to do when game week 18 comes, when Man City do blank.
Okay, brilliant. So that's your thoughts on Alvarez there. Let us know what you guys think in the chat as well. Also, guys, if you are watching, if you are enjoying the content, do smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed as well. We are very, very close now to 1,000 subscribers. I believe we're only 8 subscribers away. Sorry, I should say. That was a mouthful. So yeah, 8 subscribers away from 1,000. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Get us to 1,000 subscribers today, guys. That would be amazing. So yeah, that's the holds out the way. Let's move on to some players that we think you should be looking to ignore and maybe go without, because these are players that people are transferring in quite heavily, which again, some of these surprise me. So obviously I've seen Emiliano Martinez has been transferred in by about 65,000 managers. We know he got that double haul, or not double haul, I think got 9-pointer against Man City, which was a brilliant performance from Aston Villa. However, that was Aston Villa's first clean sheet since game week 6. So I wouldn't be rushing in to bring in Aston Villa's goalkeeper. He hasn't got 14 appearances so far this season. He's not had many clean sheets, to be honest. I think they've had about 2 clean sheets. So I just don't think I'd be bringing in Martinez, if I'm being honest. Now, I look at the fixtures. Arsenal next. I don't really see a clean sheet. Then it's Brentford, Sheffield, Man United, and then Burnley. So I can't see too many clean sheets there. And obviously, at 4.9 million, I'd rather save the money and go get Dubravka for 4 million, who, again, is nearly 1 million cheaper. And I'd rather go cheap on the goalkeeper. I don't really like making goalkeeper transfers, but I think Dubravka's the one. Obviously, I bought him in last week. I think because of the money situation, because it's tight, I like the Dubravka move. But for that price, I just don't think it's worth doing a goalkeeper transfer, especially bringing in a goalkeeper that got his first clean sheet since game week 6. I just think it's a bit knee-jerky. I don't see many clean sheets for Aston Villa, even though they are brilliant and on fire so far this season. So yeah, Martinez is an ignore. The only goalkeeper I'll be looking at potentially bringing in, if you don't have him, is Dubravka. And then finally, Jordan, the final ignore that you've selected, you've gone with McTominay as ignore, which is interesting because this guy, he's on a bit of a scoring streak for Man United. I've seen a few people actually seriously contemplate bringing him in, and he does seem quite popular. Why is he an ignore for you anyway?
Yeah, this is quite an interesting one because about 86,000 of you guys have brought McTominay into your team, and there's this, I want to put a bit of an argument against this, even though it's been literally, well, he's Man United's top goal scorer this season, McTominay. He's got 5 goals. He's only one closest to McTominay is Bruno with 3. And in terms of how it's going at the moment, he scored 2 against Chelsea, which gave him 14-pointer for game week 15. I still think though it's still early. I think to jump on any Man United assets, especially for McTominay being a midfielder. I know he's cheap at 4.9 million and a massive differential, but I don't see this being consistent because the last time he scored was in Gameweek 9, and that was against Sheffield United. But since then, it only came from Chelsea in Gameweek 15. And even though he's scored 5 goals so far this season, I still think there's still a long way to go for Man United. And I'm not willing to jump on any Man United assets yet. I think it's still a wait and see to see how they do. Obviously, with Rashford being benched, it seemed to improve the overall team because they did play much better in terms of convincing me against Chelsea. But yeah, I think McTominay is an ignore. I mean, I'm not too sure what it's going to bring in the next fixtures up ahead for Man United because they are a bit snakes and ladders. But yeah, he has scored 5 goals so far this season, 12 appearances, 3 off the bench. But yeah, at this current moment in time, I'm going to say McTominay is an ignore, I think, for the obviously foreseeable future. But we'll see how he obviously progresses for the rest of the season. Maybe that will change in the coming game weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've actually seen quite a few managers look at it as a serious option, so it is an interesting one for sure. Let's take a few comments. I'll let you take a few comments actually, and go from there.
We've got a comment from Neil. He says Harry Maguire in a bit of a low budget defender for future transfers. So yeah, speaking on the topic of Man United, the assets, yeah, Maguire. I think he got Player of the Month as well, which was quite interesting. Yeah, I mean he's definitely improved these past few game weeks. There's definitely some improvement there for Man United. I don't know about the clean sheet potential, but again, Harry Maguire has shown that he can be quite solid in defence.
Yeah, Bournemouth isn't the worst fixture, to be fair. The next game week 16 is it's not too bad, but after that, Liverpool, you don't see a clean sheet there. West Ham, Villa are tough as well, and even Forest. I'd back Forest to score, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know with Man United. I'm still not sold on them. I know they've had a few decent results, but yeah, I'm not sure still. I know Garnacho is another one. A lot of people are looking at Garnacho as a potential differential in midfield, especially if you want to bring in someone more expensive in defense, like a Trippier or a Trent even. And yeah, Philip actually with the comment, I'm thinking Garnacho from Mbeumo and then Archer to Solanke next game. We need. I don't know what you mean by that, but yeah, Garnacho is an interesting one. Again, he's cheap. I think he's 4.7 million, so he will enable you to potentially bring in a Trippier, bring in a Trent even. If that's the case and that's what you're happy with, then I wouldn't completely be against bringing in a Garnacho because obviously he does seem like he's nailed down like a starting spot at Man United, which is again at his price is not too bad.
And we've got a comment from sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just read this one out. I've got a comment here from Tendai. Good evening, gents. My best Unai impression. I'm actually thinking Doucouré in for Mbeumo, then Palmer in next week for Souček. What do you think of Doucouré? Obviously, he did score in the win for Everton last night. Is he a serious option though? Because I'm just reading out Everton's fixtures. They're not too bad. I mean, Chelsea at home might be a decent fixture for Everton. After that is Burnley, Spurs, Man City, Wolves.
Well, I do like differentials, and Doucouré could be one of those gut feeling ones that you may have a good feeling that Doucouré could get something from this next game. I think Everton at home, though, whenever they play at home, they play really well. They're like Newcastle; they play well at home, but then have an iffy away record. So with Doucouré, yeah, I would play him this week, or getting him in this week, but I would have to contemplate what to do with him when he has like away fixtures, which may get more, I don't know, tougher for Everton. But for the home ones, definitely, I think Doucouré is a differential, which I'd like to go for.
Also, Doucouré has 5 goals and 2 assists so far this season, so that's a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect he'd scored 5. I mean, so yeah, maybe going a bit under the radar, but still not a pick that I'd go for personally. Obviously, he's very differential, but you know, if you want to take a bit more of a risk, then yeah, it could go your way, but not for me this game week. Did I make a mistake transferring in Zinchenko? Would Colwell have been better? I don't think Zinchenko is the worst pick in terms of the upside. He does have that potential for an assist or a goal. But obviously, Colwell's got the better fixtures in terms of fixture ticker. But I don't think Zinchenko's a bad pick. I think he's got upside in terms of attacking threat, but we just know with Arsenal, they have conceded a couple of goals in the last few matches, even though the XG wasn't actually. Luton scored 3 goals from 0.5 XG. So some would say Arsenal shouldn't not have conceded that many goals because obviously they didn't concede big chances. It was a lot of poor goalkeeping as well by Raya. So you could look at it both ways. And in that sense, obviously you've kind of given your opinions on the double defense, haven't you, Jordan? You don't think it's worth it. Obviously, Pranav's asking, is it recommended?
I mean, only if you feel like there's going to be clean sheets coming from a double defense. But the way I've seen the season go, I thought I was convinced Arsenal and Newcastle were good for double defense. But after witnessing what happened in Gameweek 15, I sort of changed my mind on that because I never saw Newcastle conceding 3 to Everton, even though their away record is pretty bad. But Luton scoring 3 against Arsenal, that as well surprised me. I did expect them to concede, but at least not 3. But again, that was down to a few mistakes. That could have been a different story. But yeah, I'm not too sold on double defense. I don't think I would recommend it myself. I would probably just go with try your luck at attacking defenders with attacking threat rather than ones that keep a clean sheet.
Final question. Who would you guys prefer, Pedro Porro v Romero? I think this one's quite an easy one. Honestly, Pedro Porro easily a better choice than Romero just because that attacking threat. Pedro Porro does have 3 assists, I believe, in his last 5 matches. And Romero, he always looks like he's about to be sent off. So I think that's an easy one. Go get Pedro Porro. I think he's a good pick going forward as well. And we are going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you guys for watching. We are back in we're back in about half an hour. So don't, go anywhere really. We are streaming again for the team selection video for game week 16 at 8 o'clock. So literally just over half an hour, we're going to do another stream. So make sure you tune in for that. Also, if you haven't, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Really appreciate you guys supporting the last couple of weeks. It's been the streams have been very good. We've been chatting to a lot of you, and the comments have been great. And yeah, we will see you literally in half an hour for the team selection video. So for now, take care. Anything else you want to add, Jordan, before we wrap it up?
That should be all. Take care, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes.